Hi, welcome to another episode of I Speak African. I'm your host, Yanu, and on today's episode, I'll be discussing the U.S. presidential election outcome as well as relationships. Now, in the 11th episode of I Speak African, the entire episode was dedicated towards my prediction on who would win the election, and, you know, not to my surprise, Donald Trump won, which was pretty obvious if you didn't listen to, mainstream media, which lies a lot. The only thing that was surprising to me was that there was legal betting, and I did not know about it, and I could have made some money because I knew he was going to win. But do people really think that a very unpopular president who got into a presidential race with 3 months to go into the election was going to win a very popular former president? Had Kamala Harris actually won without any interference, it would have been a political miracle. But being that Kamala Harris had a very low approval rating, even lower than Joe Biden, and Joe Biden's approval rating was 41% before he dropped out. So that right there says a lot. And where the Democratic Party went wrong is they thought that because she was biracial, they were going to have a Barack Obama 2.0. Kamala Harris is much different than Barack Obama. She doesn't have the same charisma. She doesn't have the same likability. She doesn't have the same humor or ability to captivate an audience like Barack Obama. She also doesn't have a white mother and a white grandparents, which he leaned on heavily to get, those white votes in Middle America and all throughout America, but mostly Middle America, Ohio, Wisconsin, Indiana, Michigan. She tried to do like an Indian video, but ironically, it just pushed the Indian people further away from her. Like they were like, nope, I don't want her. But we have Barack Obama now, and Barack Obama. We have Donald Trump again. We'll just see how the next 4 years go. We had him before, so we'll see what he does this time. But on to our main story. The main story I want to focus on is relationships. I chose this topic to discuss because relationships in 2020 or the 2020s are just like they're ridiculous. Like there's such a staunch difference in the way we date now than compared to that of our parents and grandparents' generation. And social media is a huge factor or a huge reason, because social media allows people to live in a fantasy world. They allow people to behave very immaturely and like children. I enjoy watching, various pop the balloon shows. Like there's a few American ones. The Nigerian one is very funny. That one is just like purely comedy. If you watch the Nigerian one, it's very funny. It's like they'll go on, and then if it's the guys or women, whoever are the contestants looking for a partner, they'll just insult everyone. It's like that's why the Nigerian one is always like 3 hours long, because they're just insulting each other for hours. It's very funny. But I watch the American one mostly, and it gives me a good laugh because it just shows how immature a lot of these. And this is not me trying to bash women or anything. It's just it's just what is being shown, and a lot of women on the show immaturity, and it's very ridiculous. And it's like, yeah, no wonder you're single. you know um it's like, you'll have women who come on there and be like, yeah, I didn't pick this man because I didn't like his shoes, I didn't like his shirt. And it's like, what? Like, are you dating the shirt? Are you dating the shoes? Are you going to marry the shirt or shoes? No, you're gonna marry the individual. And it's like, I remember this one episode where this guy comes on and he has dreadlocks and he's like into anime, and then like a lot of the girls don't pick him even though they're like, he's handsome and like he's very confident. And like, oh, I didn't pick him because he likes anime. He wore an anime shirt. Like they're like, I like his shoes because they're Jordans, but I didn't like his shirt. And then the one girl that does pick him is like, yeah, she makes valid points. She's like, you can change your shirt, you can change your shoes or whatever, you can change your jeans, you know? You know, it's like, a lot of these, I watched the show and it's like a lot of women come on there with 3 inch heels and they're like, he's 5'9", he's 5'10", too short, 6 foot, too short. And it's like, you're 5'11" or 5 foot, 5'2" or whatever. What do you mean he's too short? Then what are you? You know? And it's like, and then you have a lot of, oh look, I'm always as tall as you. It's like, you're wearing 3 inch heels. Like, you better be tall. Like, and it's like, even in those 3 inch heels, none of those women tower the men. You know? And I watched the episode the other day, and it's like, this guy's profession, he was a mailman, and then the woman was like, oh no, I'm not gonna pick him because he's a mailman. But she was like, I want my partner to do better. I'm gonna support my partner. And it brings a very it brings to light a very profound problem with our generation, is that everything's about materialistic ideologies or notions. Yes, our generation is more educated than our parents and grandparents because of civil rights and everything, and just we have more opportunity than they did. But when it comes to romantic intelligence, no, they were much smarter than us. And I was so like another contestant. He was a black guy, handsome guy. He was an attorney. He said he was a civil rights attorney. Now, when I saw this guy, I automatically said he was a red flag. I don't like using that term because it's been overused, and everyone says red flag. If it's not red flag, it's narcissistic or narcissist. So, yeah. So to me, it was a red flag because he was handsome, well spoken, and seemed to be like nice and like, a very, very nice person, and he had a great job. So it's like, you're 38 years old and you've never been married, and like, I think they even asked him like, have you ever been like engaged? And he was never even engaged. So what have you been doing for all these years? Like, what have you been doing from the age of 28 to 38? That's 10 years. What have you been doing for 10 years? Or we can even go back further. What have you been doing from, let's say, 24 to 38? Like, what have you been doing? And just like, there was an episode when this Igbo guy, he's a dentist. He came on 2 times actually, and the second time, and I actually spoke about this in one of my, I think, earlier episodes, how like he came in his scrubs. But like, that guy was just he just went on the show just to find girls to have sex with. That's all it was. And a lot of those girls just go on that show just to try to either, for internet clout or social media clout, or to try to find a sugar daddy or a blesser. That's all like, the little Ghanaian girl was like, oh, you're going to pay for my tuition? And then he was like, no, she was like, are you going to help me? Are you going to support me? He was like, in which way? And she was like, well, I'm in college. I'm thinking, yeah, you're just trying to find somebody to pay for your college, And, our parents' generation, they were actually looking for, companions, lifelong companionship. That's what they were looking for. So, not somebody to show off on social media. Most of our grandparents and parents' generation, and even now, like, they have blue collar jobs. Like, all our parents are not doctors and lawyers and CPAs or or engineers. Like, and I'm talking about even the Nigerians, like, or Africans. A lot of our parents, be honest, a lot of our African parents are CNAs, are nurses. They're lower level medical staff. A lot of our parents are not doctors. They're not dentists. They're not they're not upper level clinicians. They're lower level clinicians. And a lot of Black American parents and grandparents are also not the same. A lot of them are millmen, trashmen, electrician, carpenters, HVAC, managers at stores. And it's like, they married our mothers. They treat our mothers well. Like, our mothers aren't complaining. They're There's nothing wrong with a modest, like, there's nothing wrong with living a modest, happy life. A lot of people, I always say you can't believe everything on social media. It's gonna, like, that's a lie. All that stuff is a lie. Whenever you see guys on social media, it's like, yeah, vacation. Like, he probably took that vacation last year or 2 years ago. People don't go on vacations every week because, you don't even have that much work leave unless you're, maybe you're internal medicine doctor and you have 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off, maybe. But your average black person, black man and woman, they're not internal medicine doctors, you know. So, like, don't believe everything you see on social media. Another issue is that a lot of women nowadays, and the reason why I'm focusing on women, because women have to understand that you guys are the ones who give birth. Men, we do not give birth. You hold the baby. You're the one who fosters that life. You create that life inside of you. You nurture it. We don't. That's why I'm focusing on women. So women need to start making bad decisions. Like, stop allowing, like, men that are no good, that are bums, to get y'all pregnant. Because getting y'all pregnant does not mean he's gonna stay. Like, especially nowadays, like, 50, 60, 70 years ago, yeah, if a man got a woman pregnant, he would stay. Because, like, his side of the family and her side would be like, no, you have to stay. Like, you have to do the right thing. You have to do the honorable thing. Now, no, a man would just get you pregnant, run, go to the next woman, get her pregnant, run, go to the next woman, get her pregnant, and then also maybe give her some kind of disease. And then now the child has a disease too. And I'm seeing this trend. It's becoming bigger back home in Africa. Like, it's huge in SA, South Africa. It's huge. Like, Kenya, very big too. Uganda is getting bigger. Senegal too. And I think it's very unfortunate because those African countries are still very conservative, and part of being a conservative, like having a conservative upbringing, is getting married first. Another issue is, like, women, come on, learn how to do hair again. Learn how to do hair. Learn how to, do your own nails. Like, you don't need to be, like, do your own hair. Do your own hair. Men don't care about you getting your nails done, you getting your hair done every week. We really don't. Another thing that needs to come back is shame. Shame needs to come back in style. I remember when I was growing up, everyone in my class, all the black kids, came from it was only like maybe one or two kids who didn't come from a double parent household, meaning, like, they didn't have a mother and father. Like, I think it was only two girls that had they had just a single household, just their mother raising them. But that was out of my, like, and we had, like, there was a lot of black kids. So, that needs to come back. Because if people aren't shamed and they don't feel bad for what they, like, the mistakes they made or the actions they made, then they're going to continue doing it. That's why, like, all this crazy stuff is happening, and and nowadays marriage is lasting on a lot of people's minds. You have a lot of people who will wait until they're old. Like, for example, probably, like I was talking about, the guy from Pop the Balloon, 38. He probably was like, oh, I can get married. I mean, even though it's much different for a guy than it is for a girl or a woman, it's still, like, 38 to get married. That's late, But, this is another same topic, but I used to watch The Chi, that show that comes on Showtime. And when I used to watch it, it was actually pretty good, like season one. But then I think at the end of season one, they killed off Jason Mitchell's character, who played Brandon. And the reason why they killed him off is because when this show first came on, I think it came on around 2000, like maybe 17, and that was still during the height of the Me Too movement. And in case y'all forgot about the Me Too movement, it was created by a black woman named Tarana Burke. And it was created to expose sexual assault and sexual harassment and altogether unfair treatment towards women experience that kind of treatment in the workplace. Um, well, just like many movements that Black people create, you know, Wazungus, colonizers, whatever you want to call them, they steal it. So they stole her movement and turned it into like a uh, zero policy tactic, or zero policy, just a zero policy towards men. So back when The Shy was in its first season, Jason Mitchell was accused of being inappropriate with his co-star Tiffany Boone, and just like that, they fired him. They didn't even do an investigation; they just fired him, and that was he was the main protagonist in that show. It would be kind of like this show is not like Game of Thrones, like where like you can kill off a main protagonist and have a new main protagonist, and the show still has a good, it still has a good vibe. No, this show, he was essential to the show, and they just killed him off. Like they killed off his main character, and you know, and like the Me Too, it's even made its way into politics. You know, uh, don't get me wrong. A lot of politicians do need to be called out. Like for example, Bill Clinton. Like we all know what he did to Monica Lewinsky. That was a very heinous thing he did. But what I'm about to bring up is nothing similar to what happened to Monica Lewinsky. Now, there was a U.S. Senator named Al Franken who served in the U.S. Congress from 2009 to 2018. Now, before that, he was a comedian. And in 2006, he went on tour and during one of his tours, he kissed he, it was part of like the play, or part of the show. He kissed a woman who was in the show with him, and the woman was actually his love interest in the play or the show, and it was during the rehearsal. And when he kissed her, it was planned, but then she said like the kiss was forced, and he stuck his tongue down her throat and all this stuff, and then all this other stuff was brought up, and then 12 years later, and he was forced and this happened, like I said, this happened in 2006. He was forced to resign in 2012. So that's 12 years later. And then when it came up again, he was like, yeah, I should have never resigned. I should have never resigned. Because look at all the stuff that's happening in politics now. And those politicians are not resigning. But back to what I was saying with The Shy. So the character of Emmett, who's being played by Jacob Lattimore, he's like, his character is like stupid. He's just useless. All he knows how to do is have sex. That's all he does. So he gets this one girl pregnant, and there's a scene. There's a scene that is like has Lynn Whitfield, and if you don't know who Lynn Whitfield is, she's this really famous black actress, and she always plays like they typecast her. She plays the same role every movie. She's rich and bougie, light skinned, rich and bougie. That's her role. So Lynn Whitfield comes in and she's asking her daughter or niece. She's like, how do you know Emmett, or how do you know this girl? And then Emmett, and then she explains, and she's like, well, I was with Emmett, and then Emmett, no, she was like, the other girl was with Emmett, got Emmett pregnant, and then they broke up. Then Emmett got with me, and then got me pregnant. Then we broke up, and then now Emmett and her are back together. And it's like the look on Lynn Whitfield's face is, just so priceless, because she's probably thinking like of real life, even though she's acting. And she's like, and then she calls them the ghetto Brady Bunch, which is so funny because, if you know the Brady Bunch, but like it makes sense because like this is crazy. Like, how can you just go around just getting all these girls pregnant? And like people, like I said, people do it without any shame, and she's thinking about like during my time, people got married, and nowadays like people just get pregnant and then it's like congratulations, let's have a baby shower. It's like, no, get married, get married first, then have the baby shower, so be very, be very, cautious about who you, lay down with, because, you're going to, either he runs away or you spend the next 18 years dealing with, an idiot who probably going to barely pay child support. But lastly, like I said earlier, I just want to reiterate this. A lot of people need to get off social media. It's like statistics have proved that it's very detrimental to the health of children. If you guys have young children, don't let them on. It's even, I don't need statistics to prove that it's detrimental to grown-ups because it's showing. But get off social media. This, like, for example, stop watching all this Love is Blind. It's a scripted TV show. It's not real reality. It's all about money. All these influencers want to do is make money. People need to speak to your grandparents, speak to your parents about being in a successful, healthy relationship. Don't seek relationship advice from social media influencers. Don't seek advice from people who, don't have anything to show. Now, before I end this episode, I want to bring up some South African news. I recently heard something coming out of South Africa, and I found that be very troubling. So I want to share it with, everyone in my audience. So apparently in South Africa, women, not all women, but some women, they leave money outside their windows as payment so that the men in South Africa, and not all South African men, but the men who, sexually assault women in that country or beat them, they leave money outside their window as a form of payment, and that's very insane because it's like every time I go into the news, like something crazy is happening in South Africa, like every single time, like how can that be the life of many women in that country? It's just really crazy, and I think the ANC, because that's the political party who's been in control of that country for the longest. The ANC, they're responsible because one, they should have gave reparations to the Black South African people after apartheid ended. They should have got their land back. They should have got money so that they all go to school, all get educated, and so that they could live off the land. Like if you go to South Africa, all the vineyards and all the nice places are run by, the Afrikaners. The Black people are doing all the work, all the work like small menial work like cleaning up after the animals and whatever. And it's like, or stable hands or things like that. And it's like, a lot of them, there should be programs for them. Like there should be subsidized housing. Actually, not even subsidized housing. Every free, because it's just like slavery in America. Black people in America were promised 40 acres and a mule, which we did not get. And that was reparations. Even though, we were promised it, that was still on the books. That's what we were supposed to get. Now, South Africans did not get any form of reparation. They should have. And that's why 27 years later, their country is still in turmoil. And, they have very, their leaders don't care. Ramaphosa does not care. Ramaphosa just wants money. He just wants to be cool with the other BRICS nations. He doesn't care about South African people. But yeah, I really do hope that they can come together as a people, and because the Black people of that country is 80, I think it's 86%. So I really hope they can come together and work on their issues internally, and so that their country as a whole can prosper, and Black people in that country can prosper. But that's it for today's episode. Thank you for listening to another episode of I Speak African. Please leave your comments and subscribe to my channel so that I can put out more content. You can email me at ispeakafrican.com. Sorry, ispeakafrican12.com. sorry, I speak African12 at gmail.com. And also, you can find my episodes on Spotify. Thank you.